Stephen Colbert taking shots at the FCC and his network over the equal time rule. Take a listen to what the Late Show host said after network lawyers allegedly informed him last minute that he couldn't air an interview with Texas Senate candidate James Talarico.
You know who is not one of my guests tonight? That's Texas State Representative James Talarico. He was supposed to be here, but we were told in no uncertain terms by our network's lawyers, who called us directly, that we could not have him on the broadcast. This doesn't just affect interviews. The rules forbid any candidate appearance, including by voice or picture. That's not him. That's a stock photo we found when we Googled "not James Talarico."
Colbert wasn't done. He insisted that it was purely a network decision to pull the plug on the interview and gave his thoughts on it.
Carr said he was thinking about dropping the exception for talk shows because he said some of them were motivated by partisan purposes. He hasn't done away with it yet, but my network is unilaterally enforcing it as if he had. But I want to assure you, ladies and gentlemen, please, I want to assure you this decision is for purely financial reasons.
Colbert also had a specific message for Carr himself. Take a listen.
Sir, you're chairman of the FCC, so FCCU. Because I think you are motivated by partisan purposes yourself. Sir, you smelt it 'cause you dealt it. You are Dutch ovening America's airwaves. Let's just call this what it is. Donald Trump's administration wants to silence anyone who says anything bad about Trump on TV because all Trump does is watch TV.
This comes as the network continues to experience tension under its new leadership. Several journalists and even high-profile on-air talent have obviously left the network, and that list now includes another big name. 60 Minutes correspondent Anderson Cooper says he will not be renewing his contract with CBS, but he didn't identify the network's new direction as a reason. He instead said in a statement Monday, quote, "Being a correspondent at 60 Minutes has been one of the great honors of my career. I got to tell amazing stories and work with some of the best producers, editors, and camera crews in the business. For nearly 20 years, I've been able to balance my jobs at CNN and CBS, but I have little kids now, and I want to spend as much time with them as possible while they still want to spend time with me." So this is Anderson Cooper no longer being with 60 Minutes at CBS, which most people know him as the host of CNN.
Yeah.
So I initially saw, I'm like, oh, this is big news, but this is just him. He's been doing both things. He's just going to do CNN. And they're under different management structures for the time being, although obviously Warner Brothers is trying, they're going to try to merge with Paramount, the owners of CBS. So
and he can go back to his old job if he wants,
I guess.
because it's under one umbrella.
Look, I don't, so the equal time rule, this makes me uncomfortable. First of all, the rule should be enforced or it isn't. I don't like this vaguely. I might get rid of it. I might not. Like if we're going to have rules, I don't really like the FCC, but if we're going to have these kinds of rules, they need to be very clear so the networks know who they can follow. And like this shows this talk show, this shows a news show. This one they can't even show his photo. That seems very heavy-handed. Now there's these aggressively censorial rules for the broadcast channels because of limited bandwidth. But it also, so this Talarico interview did air. It just aired on YouTube and on social media, which is where most people are watching news anyway. So it increasingly seems very antiquated to me that there are these very precise news opinion distinctions, what you can say, equal time, very heavy-handed government-mandated rules for the platform that is falling and collapsing that fewer and fewer people are going to watch, whereas YouTube is the wild, wild west, and that's a good thing. So anyway, I don't care for this at all, is a long way of saying that.
Well, I think what we're seeing is a pattern of the FCC saying something and companies reacting before there's any new, guidance administered that's actually on the books. And I think people are nervous about the new dynamic that Brendan Carr has created between people who run networks that need FCC approval to get things done, like these big mergers, and him kind of saying, well, I'm strong-arming without strong-arming through the lens of President Trump, right? And I feel like that is coming up more often where, well, why would you say that publicly unless you're going to implement it, actually? And Stephen Colbert is like, this is not an actual rule yet, but I just can't air the interview because my network is scared because they may want to get into a merger soon that's going to benefit them financially.
Because the FCC may say you're subject to the equal time rule, which means you would have to also have on, I guess, but I'm not even, see, this is why the rule being unclear is bad.
Right.
Does that mean he has to have on Jasmine Crockett because that's the competitor in the primary? Or is it they have to have on Ken Paxton and Cornyn, or whoever wins that conflict? Or do they wait till that's resolved and then they have to have him on? This is why I don't understand. Like, Talarico is not yet a candidate running against the Republican because they haven't decided it yet. So the lack of clarity on that aspect of the rules, to me and to CBS, it seems utterly absurd.
And I think that when they bring people on a lot of these shows, The View, Late Show, what have you, you're finding the people that are most in the news to have newsworthy conversations. So Talarico has recently beat out Jasmine Crockett in the polls, even though she saw a huge surge a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago. And so it's worth talking about. What changed? What are Texas voters feeling? Is there a chance that a Democrat could win this type of election in Texas? We haven't seen that in modern history. So we want to really have these dialogues about, oh, what can change?
I mean, I'm guessing the Trump administration doesn't want Talarico to be the candidate. I'm reading between the lines. They want Jasmine Crockett to be the candidate because they think will be more easily beaten. So they don't want positive interviews of James Talarico where he'll be unchallenged and he'll look good.
And the FCC probably shouldn't be in that. I mean, definitely shouldn't be in that conversation
Well,
at all. What President Trump wants.
Well, their mandate. Well, yes. I mean, their mandate is that this is a long-standing rule. I don't like this rule. I don't like the FCC. I would abolish the FCC and just auction the airwaves to the highest bidder is what I would do. We don't need any regulatory control of this whatsoever. This is also like having regulatory control over who gets to use the phonograph. Who cares? It's like
it's not that old. Yeah, that's so dramatic.
Phonograph. Nobody
so
is
crazy.
watching this. He's going off the airwaves. Colbert is.
Yes.
Not because they're censoring him at the government, but because his show doesn't make any money because nobody cares about late night anymore. It's
My mom
dead
watches
and
that
over.
show all the time.
Well, and that's very nice for her, but people are getting their news and information elsewhere. YouTube has won. I don't know how many more times I have to say that. So it doesn't matter, but because it doesn't matter, that also makes it seem very silly to be enforcing this.
And this is interesting about Anderson Cooper. We have to go, but he has a 3 and a 4-year-old, so I totally get it from that perspective. That's really why he's leaving, but we can't forget to mention the whole Barry Weiss thing. That could also be the reason why he's leaving. Working at CNN and having Barry Weiss as your other boss might be a little bit much.
There's reporting behind the scenes about tensions there, but who knows? You let media people gossip anonymously about their workplaces. Trust me, they will complain and complain and complain and complain, and you can drum up any narrative you want. Next up, California Governor Gavin Newsom may have 2028 backing from a very prominent Democrat. Very prominent. Stick with us. We'll tell you who.